Making your marriage great. So us in the military, they messed us up in the military. We have acronyms for everything. Everything has an acronym. So my grandson who just joined the military, he's like, Grandpa, what is a POV? What is, and I'm like, dude, you'll get used to all these acronyms. But they kind of help us too. The reason why they have acronyms is to help you remember stuff, right? So you remember things. And so came up with this one, great, GREAT. Okay, GREAT, making your marriage great. So we're going to break it down, each of these letters in this word or acronym. Growth, the G. We all have the ability to grow, like it says there. I think you guys have a handout too. Okay, so it's in your handout. You got to give each other grace to grow. In Luke 2:52, Jesus grew, and so we need to grow. See, we have to get away from the pity stuff that slows our growth. Okay? And what I mean by that is that sometimes we have expectations. All of us do. We have expectations. And sometimes there's these little things that happen at home and we allow them to grow and fester and be big. Give you a sample of something that's because there's what you call a legit expectation and then an unlegit expectation. Legit expectation. Both parents work, right? And so the wife tells the husband, hey, please pick up little Jody today from the daycare because I got to stay a little longer, so make sure you pick her up. Well, the husband gets wrapped up in doing some stuff with his buddies, and forgets about picking up Jody. Wifey gets a call from childcare. Hey, nobody's come to pick up Jody. Wifey says, oh, I got to leave early, go pick up Jody. She picks up Jody, comes home, hooks up with her husband, and is like, why didn't you pick up Jody? And it's like, oh my God, I forgot to pick up Jody. Boom, argument happens, blah, blah, blah. That was a unmet expectation, right? But a legit, she was legit in being upset because, let's face it, you done left your kid behind somewhere, all right? Legit. Versus, let's say, or let's take another one. As a family or a husband and wife, you decide we're going to make a budget, okay? And we make a decision together. This is our budget. Bam. We ain't going past this because we need to save some money, get out of debt or whatever it may be. This is our budget. We're in agreement. We got it, right? Yeah. Well, wifey that weekend decides, oh man, I just saw this nice dress. I got to get this, man. Gets the dress, comes home. Honey says, where did you get that? It's, oh, I had to get it. It was so pretty. But you busted our budget, And so now he's upset. Legitimately, he is upset because, this was an expectation that he had. Legit expectation. You guys agreed on this. And yet someone went and did something that in turn busted the budget. Old dude is upset about it. That is an unmet expectation, legit. Then we got little petty stuff. Like, I go to the bathroom and the toilet paper is upside down. And what I mean by that is that it's not rolling out from the top, it's rolling from the bottom. And so I come to Miriam and I tell her, what the heck is wrong with you? You know the toilet paper is supposed to be flipped the other way. These are petty preferences, or someone who likes to take the toothpaste and they like to squeeze it in the middle, so now you have this toothpaste, two big ends, and they squeeze it out, versus the one that likes to roll it from the end to get it all out, and now you're going to argue about how the toothpaste is going to come out. But you understand the point here, right? That sometimes, we take these petty preferences, we make them into these big expectations, and now we arguing and fighting about these petty things that we're like, are you kidding? Come on, there's bigger things going on than these little things. Because let me tell you, I'll be honest with you, we sit and we counsel with people and we start hearing these things, we're like, you arguing about that? Oh my goodness. And they make it into this big thing. And a lot of it too comes from not communicating expectations. Right? A lot of couples don't communicate these expectations. I'll give you another one. We'll do some premarital counseling with a couple, young couple, and we asked them, so what do you guys expect about I don't know, sex? What do y'all think? The husband says, oh man, it's gonna be on every night, man. Every night it's gonna be on and this, that. And his wife is looking at him like, I don't think so. So he has this expectation of going into marriage, this, and she has this, and then if they don't go through the process we went through with them, they would have clashed on their honeymoon night, And so expectations can't be met unless they're articulated. We have to be able to, articulate our expectations to one another so we don't get blindsided by something, or we take a little thing and make it like this. And so we have to be able to communicate. And what that does is allow us to grow, okay? It allows us to grow. And here's how you prepare for some growth. Have a plan. It must be done together. Part of the plan, devotional time, family time, dates, okay? Retirement, all right? For example, here with dates. When we were in Europe, we're away from our family. With family, your family's your babysitters, Hey, let's call mom and dad, man. See, they can watch the kids this weekend or whatever. Well, in Europe, we didn't have that. Ain't that right, Michelle? Yeah, they're not there, So who's going to be your babysitter? So we're going to cut out dates now? No. I know what we did in Europe was we hooked up with other family members, other brothers and sisters who are in the same boat as us. Their family are not there either. Say, y'all take our kids this weekend, we'll take yours next weekend. The point being, we were not going to stop dating, because what happens sometimes in marriages, we just stop dating. We just went to the movies. When was it? Today's Saturday. Was it Thursday night? Thursday night, we went to this cool little theater we got in our town. It only cost $5 for the movie. It's movie dinner and a movie, and they got it set like old school 50s setting, real nice, and you have pizza or whatever, and you watch a movie. The movie's only $5. You really spend your money on food, and so. But the cool thing about it is that it's a nice atmosphere, and we like it, and we're going out on a date, and so we can't stop doing those things. When you were courting one each other, y'all were doing that, Hey, baby, you want to go to the movie, because, you want to hook up with her. And then we tend to forget that those are the things that kept our relationship healthy. And so we can't stop dating, okay? Second, personal development, a gradual process. You cannot stay the same. You must develop together, not one higher than the other. Got to go to church together. Maybe do devotionals together. Share with one another what God is showing you or teaching you. I know Miriam, she gets in a study sometimes. We got our own individual studies that we do, but we also do some devotional stuff. And sometimes she'll get in one of us and she'll say, hey, man, I was reading this, and God showed me this. And she'll, share it with me. And so that's a time for me to, this is listening time. This is not time I'm watching the game. And she knows also not a good time to come to Hector when he's watching the game. And let me share you some spiritual insight. And I'm like, get away from the TV. You're blocking. It's just not the right time. I mean, you just got to be smart about this. But she can get up in the morning and we're having coffee and she can tell me, hey, let me share this with you that God showed me. And I'm like, oh, cool, And now this helps personal growth. Sometimes she'll share something with me. I say, I could use that. Can I use that? I want to use that because I got to speak next Saturday. Can I use that? That's some good stuff. And I tell the people, I got it from my wife. My wife gave this is good stuff. You know what I mean? And so this is part of growing and growth. And so we can't quench that. If your spouse comes to you, wants to share some spiritual insight that they just got up that morning and said, poof, man, God just showed me this. It's a good time to share this with your spouse, man, and you get to grow together. If we stay stifled, what they say about that water that ain't moving, it's not good. It dies, and it dies. Amen. Let's go to the next slide. The R is respect. We read Ephesians 5:21 earlier, right? Submit to one another. I'm going to tell you, if there's a rule of thumb in marriage, is this right here. Submit to one another, others first. If my mindset is my wife first before myself, I'm heading in the right direction, man. It has come to the point, at least in our relationship, we kind of try to outdo each other in a sense. You know, she does something for me and I'm like, wow, that was really nice. You know, it kind of motivates me. And I'm like, well, shoot, I can outdo that, man. You know, and I'll do something for her. And it's not that, you know, I just want to outdo her. It's just, it brings me a lot of joy. It's become that thing that brings me joy to see her when I do something for her. And I see her smile. I'm like, wow, yeah, I filled the tank. And we're going to talk about filling the tank later on. So there's some words we need to get rid of, some red words. Divorce, never. Make a list of some of these red words. Because if you're caught up in that you say some things, because you know how this, the old saying, oh, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. That is such a lie. Exactly. I mean, you get hit with a stick, so you get a bruise. After a while, it goes away. But man, somebody could say something to you, especially someone you love, and it's like, oh man, and it stays for a long time. And so if we find ourselves that we have been doing that, saying some things to each other that we know are not right, maybe we need to write them down and put them on a board somewhere and say, and look at them, you know, and especially we need to articulate that to one another. You know, you said this to me and I really didn't like that. You know, this word really hurt me. And when your spouse tells you that, you need to be listening, okay? Because you just hurt this person you love. And you need to put it like in the memory bank. Yeah, I don't think that was good. You know, let's reconcile and remember that I'm not going to say that again to this person that I love. You know, arguments, you know, these words can trigger arguments. So we got to pray about this together. Words can be powerful. We can either be building up or we could be tearing down. Okay? So how we speak to one another is very, very important. Efficiency. Are we both happy? Are we pleased with our intimacy? Are we both fulfilled with life? Meaning, do we keep this to ourselves, that I might not be happy in my relationship, but or do I let my spouse know I'm really not happy in the status that we're in right now, and this is why. Because why continue on for years festering stuff? Because then, you know, in relationships, there's grenades and there's a landmine or minefield. The grenade people, they're going to let you know right away. Oh, you just slung at me? Boom! They're going to throw that grenade right back at you. People with the minefield, you got to be careful of because they just hold everything in. Just hold it in. Then one day you press the wrong button. Boom! And you're like, oh, my God. What happened? Yeah, what did I say? I mean, what the heck is going on? Because the stuff has been festering for so long, and now it reached the top, and you just triggered it all. Bam! And minefield. And you need to find out who you are, too. Am I a grenade slinger, or am I a minefield? You know, who am I? You know, you really need to find that out. And this is where we need to be able to talk. We need to say, time out. You know, we need to sit down and talk. This is why sometimes it's good to get away. Just get away from everybody. Let's get some things straight. Are we both accomplishing our goals? Are we getting there? Or do we need to change them? Marriages should have goals. Not just the family, but what about us? He's going to leave one day. The girl's going to leave one day. One day it's just going to be y'all too. Like it is right now, we're empty nesters. So it's us too. If you haven't been doing nothing, when we haven't been doing nothing to develop this, then what happens is you're going to sit in the living room and you're going to look at each other and, well, what about now? What do we do now? You know, because there wasn't any growth going on within the two. Okay, remember in Genesis, Adam and Eve. It was not Adam, Eve, Jody and Smitty and boom, none. Cain and Abel didn't come till later on. Okay, so it was still Adam and Eve. There was only two. Are we both growing in development? Have we grown from the things that used to hinder us? Okay, because you can't stay in this cycle. You know, if something that's been hindering our marriage, are we still messing with that? Haven't we tried to work this out or gone to somebody to help us or went somewhere to get some learning? You know, we have to be able to grow through that, okay? Do we even like each other? Can we just hang out, okay? Something attracted you to that person, something. So why are we letting that attraction just die, okay? And so something attracted that maybe it was that, like for Miriam, I call her Mrs. Manhattan. We don't live in New York no more, but she loves going to Manhattan. And we used to live in the Bronx. And those who are not familiar with New York City is made up of 5 boroughs. There's Manhattan, there's Queens, there's Brooklyn, there's the Bronx, and there's Staten Island. 5 boroughs make up the whole city. We lived in the Bronx. It's like Julio lived in the Bronx. So we would take the train to go to Manhattan. She's a Manhattan girl. She loved walking around Manhattan. You know, me, I was like, I worked in Manhattan, so I was like, I don't want to spend my weekend in Manhattan. But you know what? We go back to New York to visit now. I take her to Manhattan because I know she likes going to Manhattan. Okay, it may not be my great cup of tea or whatever, but I don't mind it at all. Okay, or I'll give you another one. I'm a big sports guy. Okay, I used to box and everything, and a big sports guy, like all that stuff. So we start dating, and I tell her, hey, let's go down to Madison Square Garden. There's some fights on. Some of our friends, because where we grew up at, there was a lot of boxers. You had to fight. Matter of fact, we got in a big fight one time. Us two against about 8 or 10 people, you know. So you got to know how to fight. So anyway, we will go to Madison Square Garden and tell her, hey, come to Madison Square. Some of my friends are boxing. Let's go check it out. She wasn't into, she's what I call, can I say it, bougie. You know, she likes Cinderella. She likes the theater and the ballet. You know, and I'm kind of rough on the edges. I like the boxing and the football and, you know, the baseball. And so I tell her, hey, well, come with me to the garden. So she'll go with me to the garden, see the fighting and the blood and guts and all that. But then she tells me, hey, they're giving Cinderella downtown in Manhattan. Will you go with me to see Cinderella? And I'm like, man. But she went with me to a boxing match. Okay, so I'm going with you, sis. So I would take her. Guess what? I kind of liked it. I liked the music and all that, the orchestra, the live music. It was pretty cool, you know. So now we got into this thing. She'll go with me to the game. I'll go with her to the theater, you know. But we started enjoying these things together to the point that I took her to a boxing match and she's hollering, "Oh, he should have knocked him out." And I'm like, look at her. You know, but again, you know, can we just hang out? Because when you're dating, you go out and you do some things together. Why should that stop? You know, and what happens in marriage is we get so wrapped up in life and jobs and doing things that we forget we used to hang out together before. We used to walk down the streets of Manhattan and go to Central Park. We go to Central Park, we will sit on a bench. If you ever go to Central Park, sit on a bench and just watch the people. Do some people watching. It's hilarious. It is hilarious. The funniest things you see at Central Park. You're like, people actually do that. That's crazy. Yeah, or even the mall. Yeah, the mall. Yeah, the same thing. Just people watching this. Let's move on. Next slide. Affection. Go to 1 Corinthians in chapter 13. The love chapter. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And look at verses 4 through 7. And what I like you to do is, like it says there, put your name in the place of Love. Everywhere where it says love. Okay? Somebody read that and put your name on there. Starting in verse 4. Where it says love, say your name. But we know it means love. See? Because that scripture is written for us to be like so. Okay? So can we say that we are like that? Because we can say, oh, yes, charity and love, and we could be like this. But then we get around our spouse and we're like, whoa. The bear comes out, whoa. And God is saying, go to 1 Corinthians 13, because can we do that? Can we be what she just read? Can Sarah be like? Can Hector be like that? Because the scripture's commanding us to do so. Okay? And so, look at cycle. Cycle is not a season. Some people like to use that as a word, like, oh yeah, we're stuck in this cycle, and how do we find ourselves doing the same thing and it didn't work the first time and now we're right back to doing the same thing, And so we got to catch ourselves to see how is it that we got there. We talked about this last week. We haven't gotten through this already because maybe you just never actually come to a resolution on whatever it is. And sometimes something may take a little longer, but you just can't stay in these cycles. It's like the cycle of blessing and cursings. The cycle, like we call it returning a blessing for a cursing. So an argument starts. Let's say the wife says this to you, boom. And instead of you snapping back and throwing the grenade, let's say, I return a blessing to her instead of attacking. She says, I don't care. She come at me again. I decide I'm not going there. I return a blessing. She says, well, I still don't care. And she again, and now you're in this cycle. But I can roll with her and get in the cycle. Oh, you want to go there? I got something too. Bam. And then we bang. Now we're going tit for tat in this cycle, not getting out of it. And we continue to do this. Versus this someone in the relationship decides, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to return a blessing to her instead of speaking to her with a piece of my mind. Eventually, what happens with two godly people, the person who's stuck in there who continues eventually sees that, you know what, I'm attacking my spouse, and all my spouse is doing is trying to bless me, and the Spirit of God is going to convict you, and you're going to be like, you know what, we need to reconcile this thing and get you out of that cycle. Are we going to go through seasons? Yeah. Sometimes you go through a season, but a season passes. Okay, you go through a season things, but it does pass. You have to be able to make sure that you're not turning the season into a cycle, that you're constantly doing the same thing. Okay? We need to learn non-sexual ways to love our spouse by nurturing in each other the freedom to be sexually responsible. Love language. Anybody ever heard of love language? Okay. Love language. Great. Okay. Does anybody rest? Does anybody know their love language? You know yours? Do you know hers? Do you know his? There you go. Okay. Amen. Now, love language sometimes changes. Okay, like Miriam's love language at one time was touchy. She liked to be touched. She likes to hold hands and, touchy. I wasn't a touchy guy, but I had to learn that, well, this is her love language. And if I'm going to get anywhere to the next level, close your ears, bro. I'm going to have to learn her love language. But she's changed from touchy, okay, to that's me. That's my love language. And to more of gifts, little gifts. Doesn't have to be us guys. We like big stuff, car, boat. But, she likes these little trinkets. She likes little teas, and she likes to have tea. She likes to sit. Like, I was never a tea drinker. I'm a coffee drinker. But she likes tea, as you know. So I would take her now to tea parlors. She loves that. Oh, my God. If I want to make some money here, I take her to a tea parlor. Her, what we call love tank, fills up, man. And if her love tank is filled up, hey, it's good, man. It's good, So you gotta you got to learn the love language of each other and then not only know it, but then operate in it. Okay? We can't be selfish. It's not all about you. I wasn't a tea drinker, but I had to get out of my own self to see, well, my wife likes this. So I'm going to go with her. And now I'm a tea drinker, right? I'm a tea drinker now. Sometimes in the evening I tell her, hey, I'll go make us some tea, So you never know what it's going to lead to. We can learn to speak our friend spouse language of romantic love and still be fully a man or woman with all sexual desires that God put in us. We can still do that, It's just, this love language thing really is amazing if you operate in it, man. Because words of affirmation, and my wife does that to me. She calls me Maximus. It's good. Next slide. Toughness, the T. What are you building your marriage on? Is it brick, like Psalms 46:1? Matter of fact, let's get Psalms 46:1. Somebody read Psalms 46:1. That's right. Toughness, man. He has to be the rock. Has to be the rock. Now, structure support, or what makes things healthy in our marriage, boundaries. Boundaries are used as markers. Now, what do we mean by this? There are things that we agree will not do to say or do to one another. Privately address offenses. Don't lay out your spouse's laundry to your friends. This is like a boundary, okay, or a marker. Okay, we teach a Two Becoming One class, marriage class, 8-week class that we teach. First day, we tell them in that class, those couples, do not lay your spouse's laundry out in this group. Because you want to shut your spouse down, you go ahead and lay out some laundry. That person is not going to say a peep for 8 weeks because it's just some things you don't do. Okay, you don't come, let's say for the ladies, you don't come to church and badmouth your husband to all the other ladies. Oh, he's such a jerk. Oh, you should have seen what he did yesterday, this and that. And your husband walks into the church and all the ladies look at him, yeah, there goes the jerk, You know what I mean? You don't do that. You have violated one of the markers, okay? And now you wonder why there's kind of dissent going on between the two. And so again, and these things need to be discussed between the two. Let's put up some markers or some boundary structure, but they're not there to, somebody, when people hear boundaries, they're like, oh, you're restricting me. No, it's that these are things that keep our marriages intact and in place. Just like walls add structural support. Know one another's emotional limitations. I become emotionally vulnerable when. Okay? You hear me? So we need to know that. Emotional limitations. There's some things I'm not going to say because I know emotionally they're going to hurt my wife. So I got to know what those things are. Now, the roof provides privacy. These are physical limitations. For instance, we moved to Florida from New York. I told the wifey, boy, can't wait to get out on the ocean. I'm going to get me a jet ski. We're going to hit the water. She is not a jet ski person, right? She's like, oh, no. It took me months to convince her to get on a jet ski with me. Months. So finally she said, okay, I'm going to do this with you. I was like, yes. So we got on jet ski. I said, she said, don't be going fast. I said, okay. So we're like, ooh. And jet ski's made for speed. But I'm just like, ooh, getting her used to it. She's okay. Ooh, ooh, woo. She fell off. I was like, oh my God. I'm trying to get her on. I fall off. We both fall off. I'm like, oh man, this is not good, man. Finally get back on jet ski. And she's kind of upset. So we go back to, return the jet ski. She falls off again. I'm like, oh my gosh, there goes the jet ski plan out the window, So we wound up buying a boat instead of a jet ski. But you see, this was a physical limitation with her. She was like, yeah, I am not getting on that. This speed stuff is not for me. So I recognize that is a physical limitation with her. I'm not going to force this on her. We went and tried it. It's just not working. It's not. We agreed on getting a boat. We got a boat, and the boat Not as fast as jet ski, but it's okay. Okay? Anyway. And it has had to get a bathroom, yes. Yeah. Gotta have a bathroom. So us guys, we just jump in the water, and. All right, so we think that boundaries are controlled. No, they are there to manage yourself. I need to learn to manage me also. Okay? Let's go to the next slide. We're almost there, man. We're almost there. The roof. The roof provides protection, covering of your marriage. This is what has to be part of your roof. Time management. There are things that have to be scheduled, like dates, at least once a month. At least once a month. Pastors, you guys are notoriously guilty when it comes to this area. We got a lot of pastor friends. And you guys become notorious where you don't block out some time for your time. You got to have your time, okay? You have to have your time. Got to have some type of time. At least once a month, get away from everybody, say, let's just go have dinner or do something fun that we used to do, let's say, whatever that may be. But you got to be able to do that. They got to maintain some fire within the relationship. Marriage development, something like this, right? Meet with other couples maybe. Okay, we will do something in New York. We will meet with these other couples, play some board games or whatever, things like that. And we just enrich one another by doing some stuff like that. All right, that's good. This family time. Got to have some family time. Okay, and again, I hate to pick on the pastors, but you guys get so wrapped up in your congregation and things and getting ready for Sunday and blah, blah. And we tend to sometimes forget about our family. We cannot forget the family. Remember, earlier today, I started off by saying the priorities. God created the family before government and before the church. And so family has priority over that. Mentorship gives you a place of accountability. We all need mentors. We all do. I got a mentor. All of us, we all need mentors. You need a model, someone you may model after. And become good listeners, okay? We definitely, in counseling, being a good listener is key. Because sometimes people kind of figure out their own problems as you let them speak. So be a good listener to one another. Now, I don't know if go to the next slide. I hope it's there. Yes, it is there. Good. And you have this on your handout. This is a supernatural building. Look at the bottom of the building, which holds everything up. Purpose. And I mentioned this earlier. The bottom there, right there, the structure, purpose, reflect, reproduce, reign, the 3 R's. This is the responsibility of every couple in every home. We are to reflect the image of God. We are to reproduce godly offspring. And we are to reign in spiritual warfare. And as we know, if the foundation is not there, then the whole rest of the structure is going to collapse. But let's add to the foundation. Let's add provision. Provision meaning that God has provided for you, your spouse. And you have to recognize that it's God who's provided. The power of the Holy Spirit has to be active in your relationship. Okay? Has to be active. Charge, love, and blessing. Remember what we talked about, that cycle? You got to be able to get out of that cycle by somebody returning a blessing for a cursing. Order of love, submission, and respect. Remember we talked about Ephesians. We want our wives to respect us and to submit to our leadership, but there has to be the order of love, meaning love your wife like Christ loved the church. And so if I'm doing that, then I won't have so much of a problem with my wife respecting us. Let's face it, and the brothers can attest to this. We fellas, we want respect. We want our wives to respect us. Okay, I want my wife to think that, yes, I'm her Maximus. I want that type of, I want my wife to think, that's my man, I don't need another. We look for that type of respect. Just like you ladies look for security. security within your relationship, that my man don't need to be going nowhere else because this is his right here. This is who he wants. That type of security within the relationship. That's what most women want. Look at the pillars, which are part of our character traits. Humility, okay? To be merciful, hate sin, peacemakers, right? Righteousness, his righteousness, purity, and perseverance. These are part of the pillars that keep us together, holding it up. And then the roof there, role practice, husbands and wives. What are our roles as husbands and wives? We're going to get a little bit more into that tomorrow. Male and female differences, if you ain't figured that one out, okay? Communication, like we mentioned earlier, that has to happen. We have to be able to communicate. Okay, it's not always that we have to be yakking at one another, but if we don't communicate, then expectations are not met. Okay, and we all have expectations, but if they're not articulated, they're not going to get met. Our expression, romance and sexual trials, we all go through these trials, but it's to recognize it. Is it a trial or is it something else? And then how do we handle that? Because these are the challenges that we have. Our roof gets challenged by all these things. And then vision. What is the vision for our relationship? Because your relationship, your marriage should have a vision. You know, should have, not everybody's relationship or marriage is to come here and teach our marriage. But we all called to reflect him, though. All of us called to do that. How we do that, we all do it in a different way. So we should have some type of vision.